Something I've been fascinated about is how people in movies, and specifically those con artists, like, think of like Italian Job, Inception, Limitless, they're just able to have that charisma and just have that charisma like a con artist. They're going ahead, they're like, think about something like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, like they're going in and they just use this charisma. Like it's like a tool, it's a skill. They just pull it out the same way that you would calculate something using multiplication, or the same way that you would like know how to fix a tire, or the same way that you know how to approach someone in a way that's like not intimidating and like ask them for help, like if your tire was punched on the side of the road, right? Right, and I've been obsessed with like, how is this possible? You're able to be charismatic, pull people in, like pull them real close, really just hook them in. And how are you able to just like turn that on? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay? If you want to become more charismatic, you want to be able to bring that up on command. You want to basically be able to show people these different parts of your personality. Maybe you know that this part exists in you, but you really just want to awaken it and get it across to other people. That's what we're going to dive in today. Okay? There's a couple different things that are going on here. One big part is just setting that clear intention, right? They're able to put that intention in themselves and basically believe it. And when they set that intention, this is so powerful. And think about, in Islam, like we're told to make niyyah, make intention all the time, right? Because oftentimes the output and the results that you get is based on what your intention is, right? You're getting out of it what you put in and what your intention was, right? So let's say you do something for worldly gains, like these con artists, well, that you're gonna get a worldly result, right? If you do something for your akhirah, then you're gonna get a akhirah result, right? Which is something to keep in mind. They just go in, if you want to be sincere, you go in like that, and you're able to express that. Now, another angle of looking at this is having holding patterns. Okay, so maybe there are these barriers, these blockages that are stopping you from basically expressing who you really are. And that's a lot about what I talk about, right? Past trauma and just these holding patterns. Maybe you have a tightness in your throat. That's a common thing that a lot of my clients experience. Tightness in the throat, maybe a stifleness in the face. Maybe it's like very tight, hard to like sometimes even smile. You try to smile, it doesn't even come out. It's like, you don't get that ear to ear grin. And it makes it like there's this mask that you're trying to push through. And this is something that I teach about using, tools like Tazkiyah and emotional release. And if you're really able to become vulnerable with yourself, become vulnerable with Allah, and you can basically be able to heal these blockages, these barriers. And instead of sort of coming off in a little bit of a strange or awkward way, you start to come off more like, your natural disposition. Think about babies. They're super charismatic. Look at them, they're just like, ha ha ha, like they're very carefree, they're fun, they have passion, right? And I guess as we get older, we get a little bit more structured, but we also tend to lose that just because of the way our society is shaped, right? So trying to reclaim that is huge. It's very, very freeing. That authentic expression and being able to come across and show people your personality and who you are, and the truth of you being a servant of Allah, right? So, and that's what dawah is, right? It's us expressing the truth, not just the truth as in, the truth of the Quran and the Sunnah, which is of course what we should be conveying, but it's also like if you try and do that in a fake way, it's not going to resonate with people. So you're also telling them the truth about yourself. And funny enough, storytelling is very engaging as well. So see how this is all sort of the way that we were created, and the way that the laws of this world that we're trying to play in. We're getting a little off track here. Let's talk about some charisma. Or Riz. Let's talk about Riz, guys. So how are you gonna Riz people up? Usually people think about like, what line do I say? Like what, and this is a very basic level way of thinking about things. Because yeah, we could give somebody a line, but even with that line, they could mess it up. And all of their confidence is based on that line. You see where you run into trouble? Because what if the guy forgets the line? Or what if it doesn't make sense for the context? Right? So what you want to do is, we talk about going out more and trying to train yourself to be able to just speak off the dome. Like, this video is not scripted. I don't know if you knew that. I was thinking about it before I did the video, because I started scripting my videos. And I'm like, oh man, I should script the video. I don't know, what am I going to talk about today? And then as usual, even like this is how I made my last video, I think too. I had a video idea. It's very simple. I wrote charisma like a con artist. It's not very much in focus. And this is an idea that I've been developing for a long time. So I'm like, I know about this concept. Let me just talk about it. Bang. So it's just off the dome. It's a free flow of ideas from my brain to yours. Okay. Speaking of which, probably going to do another video on articulation, because man, that's a fun topic. But let's talk a little bit about charisma. So charisma, it's also the art, right? So you want to be able to sort of steal like an artist, right? So you want to be able to you look at different people and you see their expressions. And instead of your expression sort of being the lowest common denominator, or the sort of the amalgamation of the people that are directly around you, you want to see like some of the best communicators and take things from them, or like something a little bit more playful from someone, and you say, hey, I like that. Look at people, TV actors, look at like very charismatic figures, and just say, hey, I like the way that they do that. And do it in a way that is not just copying them, but it makes it your own. And this just comes with time, and you develop your own style and your own flavor. Flavor. Okay, and it tastes, it's gonna have that, it's like when somebody cooks a dish, like it's gonna have that unique signature taste, like it's that je ne sais quoi, like I don't really know what it is, but it really hits the palate, like it's just good. Like when you just put it, it's just this cool dish, but you had to, the work that you had to put in, and you had to cook all the ingredients, chop it up and saute the onions and all this stuff. But the end result is that dish, and that's like your charisma, is that dish. Okay? Charisma theory, guys. We're building charisma theory right now. On like a technique level, if you're feeling like really locked up in your face, you could just practice making facial expressions, honestly. And you find that a lot of people that are very charismatic, they make just very good facial expressions. They have this like amazing, and I'm starting to do more facial expressions now, but they have this amazing range of facial expressions, which is, I'm just thinking of an example of someone like IShowSpeed, like, because I don't follow this guy, but people that I know keep sharing videos. I think he's like Muslim or something. There's like there's something about this guy. And he's always like, the videos that they share, it's always him going like, or like, he's just very like, bombastic, and people could think of that as charismatic. Some people, like back in the day, they used to think of like, that like smooth radio voice, like, oh, we're flying over the choppers of, over here, and that's, it's a very
Bond. James Bond.
it's like that, like old school, like, oh, very smooth, oh, they like handle everything very thing. And like, I guess that's sort of a stereotype, but what you want to take from that, and the lesson you want to take from that, is just being calm. And what you notice is, if you're just chill, like, it has its own like charisma and pull, and that groundedness, right? And the best way to stay grounded is, again, that tazkiyah element, right? If you're very tapped in to Allah, like you have high iman, it can start to show across in your communication, right? You become non-needy because you're not seeking other people's validation. You only seek validation from Allah, right? And you start to move with more conviction, and you don't let these like worldly trifles really stir you up too much most of the time. Of course, you're going to feel emotion, okay? And that's the next thing that I'm going to go into. Emotion, so important. I was just reading The Alchemy of Happiness. It's something written by Imam Ghazali. And he talks about an example of, there's a sort of person that thinks that it is unlawful to be angry, and it's unlawful, and this is against the Sharia or something like that, when it's not the case. You're allowed to express emotions. You're allowed to feel emotions as a human, as a Muslim, right? But where it has to come in to play, where we need to be mindful, is like that regulation piece, that emotional regulation, right? Like, yes, you can feel some way, but how do you respond to that? And like, for example, right, we're not allowed to like, be like, have like crazy levels of grief after 3 days after, somebody passes away. So that's like a boundary, right? You're allowed to get angry, but are you allowed to like freak out on someone and rage and beat someone and have a physical altercation with them? Oh no, right? So there are certain boundaries associated with these emotions. Like, are you allowed to have waswasa? Yes, because that's like, every human's gonna have that, right? But like, what do? You're gonna say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, right? And try to remove that. So emotion, if you're able to like regulate your own emotion, you can start expressing that emotion, right? So if you're very excited, people are gonna feel that. That's called the law of state transference. You're gonna be able to transfer that state onto other people, and they're gonna feel good, right? And like, that energy is just gonna be put across, right? That if you're more of like a positive person, people are gonna feel that energy, right? If you're a little bit low, negative, like, oh, I'm like making a joke, like you can't even take it seriously, because I'm like I'm doing like a imitation of it. What if you're angry? Right? What if you're, yeah, guys, I'm totally failing these. I'm doing an imitation of it, which just makes it funny. But you know, you want to express that emotion. So if you want to be serious, you can be serious. If you want to be sad, if you want to be a little bit more sincere, you can be sincere. If you want to be sad, and you really want to talk about something that's like very, very touching to you and it's just very a personal struggle that you've been going through, you can channel that across to people. So you see how like we dipped into those different emotional ranges, and those are just some easy examples there. Okay, so let's wrap this up with a bow. How do you be charismatic? You gotta be authentic, you gotta express yourself, you gotta have a personality, you gotta throw some fun things in there, you gotta be a little bit playful, you gotta be grounded, right? And there are different ways to do things. Like you could do things in a way like there's this saying, right? And it's a crazy saying. I've been thinking about it recently. You can either become a master manipulator or you could become a real man. And both of them are going to take the same amount of time and effort. So you can choose that, right? You can either become this master like person trying to manipulate everybody, and you're trying to like get other people to like you and like do like all these like weird little tricks, and you know, maybe you don't feel confident or you don't feel worthy enough and you're just trying to make like other people like all this stuff. Or you could just be a real man, right? And go through the tough work that you need to earn that place, and go through that. And I'm not saying you have to go and accomplish this like career thing or like become this age, XYZ age, to improve your social skills. But what I mean is like you have to go through a little bit of rejection. You got to go through a little bit of, you know, going out there, and through doing this is really how you're going to improve your skills. So on a practical level, what are we going to do now? Well, I want you to go out, right, and start talking to people, okay? You're going to talk to everybody. You're just going to do these little interactions, these micro interactions with strangers. Why strangers? Because the people that you're around right now, you're not going to get the results by talking to them more, because that's already your comfort zone and you haven't been getting results from there. So what you're going to add new people, and this is also going to add, it's like the law of large numbers. So the more people that you talk to, the more accurate view, the more accurately you can test your social skills, and then you're being able to get better feedback, so then you can improve, right? So you're going to see, you're going to try talk to people, and you're going to assess their level of, are they more chill and calm and happy when they're talking to you? Or are they tensing up a little bit? Okay? And if they tense up a little bit or move away a little bit, maybe tweak something. If they are a little bit more open, more receptive, then maybe do more of that. Okay? And this is how you're really gonna improve. Okay? So make sure you like, share, subscribe, just engage with the video to boost it, to support this message. And I just want to congratulate you for making it to the end of this video. If you're interested in working with myself and my team a little bit further, there are some links in the description. And I wish you the best on this journey of Islamic communication skills building. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.